Aye.
Now make your motion.
Now,
And make sure to include the part of the motion from last week that
From
was
last week,
approved with your
exactly.
new language.
I don't remember it. Can you read it?
it would be,
It was very long.
it would be the consideration of compensation for city officials. And now you're gonna add that the, only for incoming elected officials in the
Okay,
short
so-
version.
Can,
No,
okay, so I make a
I
motion
mean-
to keep the language of the prior motion and add that no sitting commissioner can benefit from any increase in compensation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Next item.
Item 9, consideration, discussion, and action, if any, relating to formalizing in the charter how to manage additional dwelling units.
Yeah, this was an item I was asked to be on here, but I'm gonna let this one fall to the floor.
Okay.
Falling to the floor stuff, don't you?
So we can move to the next item.
Item number 10, consideration, discussion, and action, if any, related to the Charter Reviews Committee presentations, subcommittees recommendations.
Here, I think we were also looking at who can present.
Yeah, I wanted to, well, I guess we gotta take it off the table, right?
No.
It's not on the table.
No, this is not on the table.
Yeah, this is the action. We had the workshop on it.
Right. I'd like to make a motion to have, I just open it up to determine who, if we want to determine who presents. I also like to motion to have David Merrill be the presenter for the next meeting. For the
For the city.
for the
meeting.
city meeting.
Okay. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Let's don't do it just yet. Could we have some, at least a brief discussion about it, Mr. Chairman?
I think somebody needs to second it, and then we can discuss it. Yeah. But now we can discuss it.
Yeah, because it still has to go to
Oh,
vote.
it needs to be seconded.
No. Here's what I think I would like to see. I think that both the chairman and the vice chair should make introductory remarks and introduce the presentation. And then I think Daisy should make the presentation. I think I think that's going to be the most credible way. Chairman is going to stand up, say, here's what we've been doing, here's how hard we've worked, here's the discussions that we've had, here's the time that we spent, the whole background on that. You can second the motion on that one. And then Daisy steps forward in a rehearsed way and does a 7-minute presentation that gets to the specific recommendations. And we come back to the chairman and the chairman says, okay, I just want to reinforce the 7 or 8 things that we voted on. Thank you very much. Good night. That's the way I would like to suggest it be done.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would think the chairman gives the pretty much, if you look at your slide, the introduction, the goals, what we're trying to do, and then once we get into the chart, then Daisy goes in there and says, look, this is how we what we did, is there, the who's, what, where's, and whys, and then we go from there, and then closing remarks from you all.
So, city attorneys, that would mean you would have to add to the slides that y'all will be presenting as we discuss.
Well, I think,
Say that again?
Well, I know you're gonna have everything that we've already approved or voted on.
The presentation is your presentation.
Okay. Very good.
What
Just
we
like that.
what we will have in items for individual consideration is
Yeah.
what you all have voted on.
Okay, right.
I think that's a great idea. You can present, kind of, this is what we've done, and then once we get into the nuts and bolts. No,
Are you changing your motion?
am I changing my motion? David said Daisy. I'm changing, well,
If
you
I may
want
just-
to do it, Daisy?
one more thing.
I am
If-
honored by your trust,
Uh,
but
if-
I will be midair, because this is Tuesday, right? I will be midair. So I'll be here on Wednesday. Um,
If I may, I would suggest that it's really the chairman's responsibility to do that, to make that. I don't think the chairman has, I don't think we have to vote on it, in other words. If the chairman likes that idea and wants to adopt it, that's what I would recommend. But I don't think we have to vote as a committee on how to make a presentation.
This-
and I'm happy to help whoever presents, sort of like walk them through the slides to know what to say. And I can do that from California.
Through Zoom. So,
Oh, well, you're going to be in California, Dave? So, I'm moving into a house this weekend, so I'm going to be doing a lot. Just closing this week, on Thursday.
Mr. Tejirina? I start the presentation and you go through the,
I'm sorry, just a reminder to speak into the mics.
I'm sorry. I start the presentation and then you go through the,
I mean, I guess the question is, do
through
you
the
want to
items
help?
that we've,
But I would prefer someone on the subcommittee that's putting it together to
Exactly.
present it.
yeah.
So if,
Oh, yeah.
Gerardo wants to take lead on that, either you're the last man standing.
Do you have Tuesday free?
Yes, yeah, I'll be okay with that.
There we go. I'll start it. Gerardo will go through the presentation of the model that the subcommittee came up with, and then we'll go from there.
So nothing to vote on, you're just deciding that as chair.
And so is there a motion on the table right now or no?
We don't need
Well,
to.
but do we want a motion to summarize some of the items on the slide right now for the board
Like, who
member
does what?
removal? We want to highlight one where we can,
I-
like from the ones that we have,
Well,
do we want one that is, I don't know, like a single point as opposed to multiple points for,
I'm sorry, excuse, I believe Mr. Merrill's going to get on with someone from the city to put the slide together. Or the graph from what we discussed earlier.
I asked for help and I know I need it. So yes, that's what we do. And even tonight, we've added some items that should be on that, if not on the continuum, but in
Right.
the list of items that we've offered somehow. So that
Right.
graphic. And I would like to also go back to the original graphic that Gerardo offered us, which was the problem versus solution and development. Because I think that really does illustrate where we were going and coming from. I'll show it to you.
Can you pull something up, Jennifer? Right,
I'm a little confused as to the
yeah,
discussion.
yeah.
right
So
now.
there's not gonna be anything to vote on. The decision's been made by the chair that he and I are gonna be presenting.
That part I got, but
Yeah,
I don't.
So there was just a quick comment.
I did.
I sent you an image earlier, just if you can bring it up because,
It was
Uh,
just a little while ago. Carlos, I'll email it to you so you can put it on the projector.
yeah, it's a single image, not the multi-image one. But just so the rest of the committee can see, because if not, they're not gonna see what David's referring to.
Okay, Carlos, I emailed you 2 emails.
Yeah, they're gonna pull up an image and then I'll just describe it and then we can almost close. No, it was the single one. Sorry about that. There was there was an email after that one. If you can pull it up, just because
I didn't see the other email.
I sent it to Will. I sent Will and Jennifer 2 emails earlier.
Yes, yeah, it was about,
Yeah,
20
during
minutes
the
ago.
meeting, I sent it, but there's one with just one image. Yeah, that one. Just to avoid any confusion. So in 2 minutes, or 1 minute, basically, the P is the problem and the solution there is the solution, right? So if you can imagine time starting on the left and moving to the right, what this image is trying to illustrate, it's actually like a standard problem-solving method, is to show what we did, right? We started off trying to determine what the problem was initially, right? We're opening the scope there, so that's why it's getting bigger there in the middle. We focused on the problem, and then we started exploring different solutions. And then as we explored different solutions, we narrowed that down to, the final recommendations. And the only reason I had included this is because I think there was a lot of discussion about the wide variety of topics that we were touching upon. And it's just to clarify that it's actually a problem-solving framework, and just to kind of iterate that point. So I guess I'll get with the presentation subcommittee and determine if we want to have this there or not, but at least you guys get to see it before that. So we may or may not include it.
It does. Can we,
That was it. Thank you.
can you pull up the PowerPoint for the CRC interim report?
And just to make a point about what this graphic shows to me is, we can turn to anybody in the public who's watched and say, this is what we have to do. We have to
Right.
go through this agony to be able to get enough consensus that we can reach a conclusion and make a recommendation. It is agonizing, and there've been some people who've been frustrated that we didn't move faster. But I think the clarity that it comes from the deliberation and the contribution that each of us has been able to offer is why it took so long and why it was worth doing.
Yeah, that was the intent.
You can go back to the other one, Carlos, so I can skip through.
So I just want to go through the changes that we will make to this presentation based on the feedback. One is include the Fitch report. Two would be to add Mr. Martinez's figure, what is it, the Darth Vader or something? Third would be include a slide of ordinance versus charter, just to give them, allow them to entertain the option that not everything has to be charter amendment, but can also be ordinance. Fourth, I would change the order of the fiduciary. Amendment.
Okay, if you can send us the email, I'm taking notes, but just put it,
I guess I want to make sure like we.
all of it, all of
like,
us
we're both
agree,
on the
yeah.
same page, right? Because then like we don't want to change it and then.
Yeah.
Like everybody, right, should be on the same page. Okay. And then, and I think, and can you move to the next one? Next one? Next. There, okay. So, and here, I wasn't clear. Do we want to highlight one of the options for removal? Or do we just present them all equally?
Well, I think one, we're removing the outside to the
Remove
right,
what?
to the left, right? We're removing
right.
the far outsides.
Yes.
And then I do think, I think we do highlight the COB can remove any number of PUB board members with supermajority. I mean, I think that's, if I'm mistaken, it seems like everyone's has been in agreement with that. And then the only issue is that where, you know, we've gone in separate directions would be for cause and without cause. But I think you could highlight that, like, everyone's in agreement that you guys need to be able to remove it beyond what we currently have, and there should be no limitations.
But there's 4 options within that one.
Well, 2. I mean, it's just for cause and then without cause. And then the for cause is just,
But under 4 cause, there's 3. But under 4 cause, there's 3, because I missed the other one that you had brought forward, which is like more general for cause.
well, you have it. And then I think my understanding was the breach of fiduciary responsibility was just may be removed. So I think that was just on a simple majority. I'm not sure if that was the case, but I thought that was what we had. And so with this, all you'd have is the for cause, without cause, and then below for cause, you could leave it by defining, you know, and saying, look, you could go ahead and put in their fiduciary, or there's also a suggestion to enhance that and have some sort of due process clause involved. But, you know, either way, you can, you know, that's, I think, the focus of, you know, what we've been spending all our time on.
Okay, so do we want to vote to highlight one of them or just present them all equally?
I don't think we need a vote. I mean, if you want, I can highlight that particular one and go down the different
Yeah, I don't think,
details of it.
I don't think you need to emphasize
Okay.
one or the other. Because, I mean, I think with the supermajority, now I do think is like, look, I mean, the reason that we have the discussion of the reason that we have that is because of the, you know, concerns, and that's where the members differ.
Okay.
But I don't think we have to say,
Yeah, and I can update this, send it to council
and
tomorrow sometime.
I'm sorry, and add whatever else was voted on today.
Yeah, just send the email
Okay.
with the details. I'll update it, given the time that we have. I'll send it to council. They can forward it to everybody. And then if there's any more comments after that, let me know.
We have somebody from the city that can help us with the graphics.
Yes,
Have a
we've
name?
already sent an email to our communications department and copied Mr. Merrill, Cardenas, and Martinez, which I believe are the ones that are going to be doing the presentation, if I'm not mistaken, so that they can, and Tomas. Okay. We'll include him there as well, but we reached out so that we can get your contact information with them.
Okay. Can we move to item 11?
Item 11, consideration, discussion, and action, if any, related to the election of no more than 3 members to the Brownsville PUB Board of Directors.
Let it fall to the floor.
Item number 12, consideration, discussion, and action, if any, related to the setting of future agenda items.
I'm going to stick my neck out and just make the recommendation that we discussed earlier from the city attorney office to make the city attorney be a at-will employment. Is that how I can summarize that, Will?
Yes.
Yeah, so for the city attorney to be an at-will employee of the city.
With no
That's
severance, maybe with no a no severance clause or something like that.
That, I think that's understood, but
But-
And, if I may, I would just add to that, what I thought was a really important point, which was to memorialize the office of the city attorney as an element within the charter, to give it the standing that it merits at this level of our operation in the city. So, yeah, that's what I would include. The at-will is preferred, and that it be memorialized inside the charter.
I think it's the same thing we're,
Yeah, and this is, I'm assuming, we're number
This is for
12, which is
discussion.
future agenda items.
right?
We're asking for a
Yes.
future item.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm making a motion now
I don't think we can do that.
because this
agenda item.
is considered discussion.
If we're in 12,
Eh,
Any
In
future-
order to
Oh,
make a
for
motion
future.
on that item, it would have been under number 7, which was
My bad.
tabled.
yeah,
Okay.
but
I
you
missed
can bring it on,
Yeah.
if the body decides, you can bring it back up, move it off the table, and then decide on that matter, but
Okay. So what I do,
Yeah,
a
so-
motion to revisit number 7?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
You can,
Okay.
So I'll make the motion again to, what was the term
So-
you used, David?
you said,
So-
and I believe it, the effort is to memorialize the office of city attorney in the charter.
So to create a new chapter with the city attorney office memorialized in the city charter and to delete in section 22, the language that states the city attorney is through contract? Is that what you're asking?
That's exactly my motion.
Very well stated.
Beautifully Did you write it down?
I filed it away.
And I'll second.
Well, what about their recommendations to create a whole section for the city attorney's office?
And that's
I
what she
think
just
that all
said.
falls under that umbrella.
Basically.
so we'd be approving the city's recommendation.
Yes.
Could we hear from the city manager on this? Wait, are we ready to discuss now?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
but there's a
There a first and a
motion,
second?
There was.
I'll second that.
Yes, there's a
motion.
first and a
So
second.
beautifully put together.
All in favor?
Could
Aye.
we-
Yeah,
She
Oh,
wanted,
no,
she
right.
wanted discussion.
Right, I'm sorry.
Kind of with the language, I think there was a question on, is this the one where we're looking at?
emergency.
yeah,
Because if it's
overly,
extraordinary and emergency.
Yeah,
that would
we
be
can modify
concerning,
that, of
but if
course.
it's- Yeah, but if it's, you know how to wordsmith. it.
Or,
Yes, or, because there's not always an emergency. I would just like that flexibility unless
Yeah.
we need that. Thank you.
And would there be any concerns on any of the other items?
Implications.
And I would just say that the budget is, while it is approved for the city commission, it is created through the offices of the city managers and then presented to the city commission for approval.
And
Yeah.
it's normal for city charters of cities like our size to have a separate chapter for an office of city attorneys?
I don't know that, I would defer to you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've also worked, I think it depends on the size of the
yeah,
city.
I think City of Hutto, I believe y'all had outside counsel.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah.
turned to in-house
Yeah,
counsel.
yeah, so she came from a city that had outside counsel. If you're asking, if you look at the National League of Cities,
Could we,
model of charters or TMLs, you'll find that it is a section that's separate in larger cities.
That's enough.
Would you
be able
send us
to-
that? Would it be possible for us to review that language of what, best practices are? I don't feel comfortable voting,
Well,
like on
there's a
something that
there's a
we. don't
motion
know.
and a second. So we'll have to vote on it.
so would you be able to submit similar charters for just consideration, once this is voted on and just say, look, in addition, we're putting on this, but just for the city's reference, here's a charter from, X, Y, and Z that has the same or similar language?
Yes.
So are we voting or,
Well, there's a motion and a second if you
yeah,
want.
any more
to-
discussion?
microphones.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Turn to item 12. Mr. Chairman, is that where we are?
We are back to item number 12 for anyone to add to our next. Ms. Jennifer, did we look into the term limits? Was it 222? When we approved it? In the last one, was it 222? Or when we presented it and then it got changed to 22?
What it was when it was presented the last time,
Please.
and I did not have the notes. I could
Okay.
not find the notes, but what I recall was it was a motion, but it was not agreed upon by the committee.
Okay,
And so what was agreed upon by the committee was actually what was presented
presented.
to city commission. Does that make sense?
I believe, yes, that makes plenty, yeah.
I mean, if this is an item you would like
Yeah,
to,
I would like to revisit the term limits at the next meeting.
for both city commissioner and mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification for me. Does that mean that you would go back to have, not that you wouldn't have term limits?
We
but
would
you-
have term limits, but it would be two
You could
for-
serve two
in
terms
district,
as
two
commissioner.
at large, and two as a mayor.
Okay, so two, and two.
Exactly,
Instead of two and two.
exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So does that, as far as PUB is concerned, are we
Move to adjourn.
satisfied that we can submit something to the commission on Tuesday,
Yeah.
right? Nobody else has any
Anyone?
concerns about not being able to submit something at least for removal or appointment, right?
Move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those that oppose can stay.
Thank you, everyone, for staying so late.
It is now 8:47. The meeting has adjourned.